Welcome back to Old Times Talk. I'm your host, Landon. The year is 1940. Swing music fills the dance halls. Families gather around the radio and listen together. And movie theaters glow with stories such as Pinocchio and the Philadelphia Story. Across the ocean, the world is at war. Headlines speak of distant battles, and voices on the radio carry news that makes people pause and listen a little closer. Yet, life continues. Neighbors talk over fences. Children play until sunset. Swing music still drifts through open windows, and hope finds its way into everyday moments. And in this remarkable year, a life begins. Today, we're honored to welcome our guest, Renata Johnston. Thank you, Renata, for being on the podcast today. So like we talked about, really the big thing is this is just a conversation. Okay. So anything I ask, if you don't feel comfortable sharing, you can just tell me I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's totally fine.
Okay.
But to start off, introduce yourself. Who are you?
I'm Renata Johnston. I'm originally from Germany. I was born 1940 in Meschede, Westfalen, Germany. My family originally, my father was born in Hamburg. My mother and my sisters were born in Bremen. My dad went down to Bremen to become a policeman for many years until just before the war, he went to Westphalia, and that's why I was born in Meschede in Westfalen.
And what brought you guys to the United States?
Well, I graduated from a public school in Germany, and I went to Hamburg for a while and worked for a family there. And they had a friend who worked for the aerospace in California, and they had just adopted 3 children, and they needed somebody to help with the family. So they asked me if I would be willing to come over to the United States. And in 1961, I took the big leap. My family didn't really want me to go, but they left it up to me, and I went to California, to Bel Air as a nanny. And I worked in Bel Air for a family. They had 1 daughter of themselves and the 3 adopted children. And I did housework there, and they were really good to me. But then I didn't make much money, and I had a friend who was a nanny just down the street, and she came up, introduced herself one day, and she only came about 20 miles away from my hometown in Germany. And she says, "Renata, you just don't make enough money. You're crazy to work for that little money." And so I was able to get a connection with another family in Bel Air. And I hadn't even been with this family for a year, but I told them that I was going to leave, and they didn't like that. So they said, "You haven't even been a year yet. I should have had a contract." But anyway, I left, and I went to a very nice couple in Bel Air, a very nice Jewish couple, no children. In 1961, November the 5th, Bel Air had that terrible fire. I was at that time overnight with another friend. I had met a German friend. Her family was in Europe. And so the fire was in Bel Air, and the people I worked for, he was a sidekick. He was a producer for Paramount, and he worked for a big producer who was Hal Wallace. Hal Wallace was a producer who did film with Elvis Presley's, and anyway, he did Casablanca and all those big movies. But anyway, I worked for Mr. Saper, and when I called him what happened to the fire? Is our house okay? And he said, yeah, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. Needless to say, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he called me and said, our house is burned down. So there were 487 homes burned in Bel Air during that fire. And the people, the girlfriend I stayed overnight with, her family, we were so scared because Ronald Reagan was up on, Burt Lancaster was up on his roof watering, and all this. Elvis Presley's house was just down the road from us. But we decided we're going to fill up the car with all the stuff we could find because the fire was coming really close. We filled up the car and opened up some drawers and just filled up the car. Well, thankfully, their house didn't burn down. And when the family came back, they kind of were angry because we opened drawers which weren't supposed to. But anyway, their house could have burned down anyhow.
Did you have a lot of things before the fire?
I lost everything, yeah. I lost whatever I brought over from Germany. I mean, it wasn't, but it was my own belonging. I lost everything, yeah. And then after the fire, I went, the family went to Beverly Hills. They rented a condo, and I went to stay with Hal Wallace for several weeks until I went back up to Bel Air to another family. And the government at that time, everybody had to put down water pipelines on the hills, and no more wood roofs because the fire just leaped from one roof to another because they were wood roofs. So I went back up there, and I had to help with laying the pipelines down the hill, and that kind of made me angry a bit. But anyway, at that time now I went to night school to learn English, and I met several German friends there. So we decided one day, we got together, hey, let's go find another job. And we would room together. We ended up going to Western Airline at that time, try to get on with the airline, but we didn't know that much English, so we flunked. And then one of my roommates at that time, now we roomed all together. One of my roommates, when she tried back with Western Airline and she got on, but I ended up taking the test for the Pacific Telephone. My other friend ended up with an insurance company. So that way I ended up with Pacific Telephone in California for a while.
What was your childhood like in Germany, right? So like you came to Germany kind of in like your early adulthood, right? Kind of around that time. What was your childhood like in Germany versus your young adult life in the US?
It was tough because I was an after-war child, and I never knew my dad. I never knew my dad until I was 9 years old. My father was in the military then, and he was captured by the Russians, by Moscow. It was a terrible winter there, so he was captured and went into prison camp, and he was in prison camp for 5 years in Russia. 1949, my mother got a telegram saying that from the Red Cross, my father was coming home. I've never met my dad. So we went, my mother didn't even go to the train station. My sister and I, we went, and I remember us today. The train came, the doors open, here's this man in this outfit, like Russian, with no shoes, but they were just cloth and a hat and glasses. They weren't glasses, they were just wires with one glass in it. And when he came through the gate, I was so scared. I didn't want anything to do with him. But then, so we went home anyway. And it was tough because we were kicked out of our home by the British. And my mother was while my dad was in the military after the war in Russia. And she was with her 3 children on the road, not knowing where to go, until we ended up in some barracks. And we were in those barracks until my dad came home, and he made it because he then worked for the city, that he was able to get back into the house. And so it was a tough time. We had to fend for ourselves. We had to go and gather berries. We have to gather wood. We have to gather pine cones and all that to survive. It was. But as children, we lived in the barracks, and in front of the barracks we had a big lake, and the children were happy. We didn't know any difference. We lived, but we survived, and it was. And I do remember a little bit about the war when when the air raids came and we had to go down in the shelters, and I remember hearing all of a sudden my sister had to go to the hospital, and we heard that the hospital was hit by the bombs. And my mother had to go way around because they hit the bridge, so she had to go miles around to go to the hospital. But luckily, the wing where my sister was didn't get hurt. The reason why our city was really bombed is because there was a company, a factory, they were making light metal for the war. And that was the target for them to hit Meshuggah.
How did the war, how did those kind of things affect you as a child? Like, that's not something that many kids go through in their life.
It made us, I think it made me strong, really. We had to fend for ourselves. It made me strong, and that made me deal with any challenges in life, I think. I did not become a wimp where, I can't do this because I've had too many terrible things happen to me. No, it made me strong.
Do you have a favorite memory or something you did as a child? I mean, obviously the war affected you, but you said that as a kid, like you still were a kid, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite memories or things that you did with other children?
Well, at school, especially this is a time, Christmas time, the memory, especially when my dad came home, that's why I kind of get melancholy at Christmas time, because we didn't have the hustle and bustle back then. But I remember I used to have a Christmas program in school, and I was the Mary. I had to sing as a Mary in school. And my dad didn't come to the church that night, but when we get home, he always had a beautiful tree with the real little metal tinsels, and he would hang each tinsel one at a time on their Christmas tree. And then we had real lights, and the room was locked until Christmas Eve. We could not see it for several weeks. And then we had the little bell, which I still have here. We heard the little bell that gave us the time we were able to come into the room and have Christmas Eve.
So your house wasn't decorated like it is today. It was very much just a normal household, and they had one kind of Christmas room?
Oh yeah, we had one living room where the Christmas tree was in, and that was locked for a while, Then we had the kitchen back in the, but the difference what I have now, we always had a real tree. We never had a, and for the last many years, this is probably the 3rd year that I have an artificial tree.
How did Christmas? I'm trying to think how to word this. What are the differences between Christmas in Germany and Christmas in the United States?
Well, to me, Christmas was more solemn, because I was a Lutheran then, and we just to go to church at night, and I don't remember ever having a Christmas Eve without a lot of snow. And so we would go to church and coming home and seeing the Christmas tree lit up, people singing. And it was just something holy to me. It was something I can't explain. It's just really sacred, you know. Not the hustle and bustle, you know.
Almost like you had like the true meaning of Christmas.
Right.
Like you had that true.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had a few siblings. Was it hard coming to the United States and leaving your family behind like that?
Yeah, it was hard then, yeah. But in 1965, my sister, one of my oldest sisters, she married an American soldier over there. She had a divorce from my first husband, who she had one child, but she came over in 1965 and to California. So that was kind of nice for me to have my sister over here. But sadly to say, my sister died in 1983 of breast cancer, and she was only 53 years old. So that was kind of, you know, leaving my sister behind, you know, that's sad.
Was she the only one from Germany that came to the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever able to go back to Germany or revisit your family?
I was, because fortunately we have a daughter who flies for American Airlines, and I was able to go with standby, you know, several times over to Germany, yes. And I can tell you later though, but yeah, I was able to go over to see my family quite a bit then. Uh-huh.
And it probably changed. Did Germany change a lot from the time that you left and then going back?
Yes.
Later?
Yes. And I think I'm glad I live over here. I really am. You know, I mean, Germany has beautiful, I mean, the countryside, I love it. Even Sauerland, where I am from, Westfalen, we have beautiful hills and mountains, you know, and the countryside is beautiful. Even you go to the Black Forest, or, you know, everything has its beauty. But the politics over there is not as good right now, so good. So
how did you come across Andy then?
Oh dear. Well, so now that I left Bel Air and I lived with all my with 3 other girls in California off Wilshire Boulevard. I used to like to go play tennis, and all the time. We play tennis every day with my roommate and I. And so we decided to go skiing up to Big Bear. And my girlfriend Gisela, who I play tennis with, she got on this chairlift and yelled, "Single." And there was Andrew coming to sit with her to get up on the chair. I'd already gone up, and so when they came down, here I am, fallen down in the snow, because I just had kind of learned to ski. And they laughed at me while I was falling down. But at night, we went to the inn, and we had our hot cider and drinks, and my husband and I, we dancing and stuff like that. That's how I met my husband.
A Big Bear, huh?
Yeah.
Skiing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And what ultimately brought you to Utah?
What brought me to Utah? Well, it's actually my husband's job. He originally worked for Mass Mutual Insurance Company, but where did she get the job from? Well, anyway, he was able to get with another company who was stationed in Utah, and for him to get the job, we would have to move to Utah. So we moved up here, and we ended up here.
The year.
You can tell that later, yeah.
The year.
Yeah, huh?
The year.
A year.
No, the year.
What year was it?
That was in 1979.
Wow.
In 1979, we moved up to Layton, and I tell you, there was nothing but scrub oak, alfalfa fields around us, and the whole area is full of houses now. We used to have deer. One time we had 12 deer in our backyard. It was beautiful. It snowed really bad that night. I woke up in the morning, I looked outside, and we had 12 deers with white little hats in the backyard.
Wow. So it's changed a lot here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What do you think has been your fondest memory with Andy?
Fondest memory with Andy? You know, we've had ups and downs over our years, but we love each other, you know. And we are good for each other. We really are.
Do you have a favorite place that you've both gone to before?
Well, yeah, we've gone on several river cruises. We went back to Germany. The first cruise was on the Elbe from Berlin to Prague. And then we went to Oberammergau to the Passion Play another year, which is only every 10 years. We were able to get on that cruise. It was supposed to end up in Budapest. Well, we were supposed to go Vienna to a concert, and then Krems for the Lipizzaner horses. Well, that morning, one morning, we got up on the deck. We just had breakfast, and the lady from Viking came up, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I need to talk to you. And she said, you have to get off the ship because you tested positive for COVID. This was during COVID time. So they took us in a bus, in a little van, and drove us all the way from Krems to Budapest, where we had to be quarantined for 5 days.
How was that?
Nothing we could do. We had to get stuck. Well, but we had to get back to LA, to Salt Lake. Needless to say, it was on a Sunday. The president had announced that he would release the COVID lockdown, and my husband and I, we got on that plane and off we went back. He even tested positive for COVID that day, but we got on the plane and we went home anyway.
That must have been a pretty interesting trip then.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was sad because I wanted to see the concert and I wanted to see the Lipizzaner horses again. But, and I'd seen them twice before, but Andy had not. So yeah, you have in Las Vegas, yeah.
So growing up, what would you say is probably the most difficult lesson you had to learn?
The most difficult lesson I had to learn, you know what? I just went along with what I had to do. There was nothing I really had to learn in order to keep going. Whatever came my way, I dealt with it. And I dealt with it and kept going, you know.
Just keep going.
Yeah,
I love it.
I never felt sorry for myself if something didn't go right, you know. Because I remember when I came to Utah, I also started working for the Yellow Pages in 1982 and dealt with the problem you're saying. I think it was 1985, the government split up the bell system and I almost lost my job because I hadn't bridged my service from Pacific Telephone with about 3 months. And luckily, I kept, and some people went with AT&T. I stayed where I was and bridged my service. So that was a little scary for me, whether I would lose my job back then. And I stayed with the Yellow Pages, and I retired with them in 1992, and it was good. It was a good job.
Do you miss working?
No, well, we have our own business, so that's why I'm still working. Yeah.
She's the office manager.
Huh?
Office manager.
I'm the office manager for our business. We have a floor covering business.
Look at that. So you're still working.
Still working, yeah.
What would you say is one of the most crazy or most innovative pieces of technology that you've seen throughout your life?
Oh, the computer, my goodness, even when I was working for the Yellow Pages, all of a sudden the computer came in, and I used to do the billing for the salespeople. I used to do their payroll, and everything was handwritten. All of a sudden the computer came in, and I remember one of the girls was saying, "I can't do this." And so they said, if you can't do this job, then you go have to find something else. Of course, we had to learn. So that was difficult first, yeah.
How old were you when the computer was kind of introduced into the Yellow Pages company?
Let's see, 82, I would say probably about 87. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1987?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Wow.
Maybe even a little earlier. Maybe, I'm trying to think, because in 80, 81, 82, we moved down to 53rd, probably 85, yeah, uh-huh.
Would you ever trade your work experience for another job? Like, do you wish that you did something else with your career?
No, I enjoyed what I did. I liked the people I worked with, you know. I liked management, and I did my job. And I know that some people grumbled, but I felt, you know, if you do your job, then people appreciate you too. And I did. They appreciated us. We had some nice outings to Idaho one time at, what was the place we went to? Idaho Falls. No, Jackson Hole, yeah. That was really nice. So.
That's awesome. I love it. Is that clock from Germany?
Yeah, I went to Germany.
That is so neat.
That was one of my trips to Germany when I went with my girlfriend. We went to Germany, Austria, and in the Black Forest, I picked up that cuckoo clock.
Oh my gosh. Is that your only cuckoo clock you have?
I did have another one, I don't even know. I brought over from Germany. My folks had a smaller one.
Was it pretty common in Germany for most people to have a cuckoo clock?
Yeah, yeah. And it's a souvenir a lot of people bring over from Germany, you know, cuckoo clocks.
Like, they're just not something we have here.
No.
I don't see many people that have them.
No, yeah.
What's a family tradition that you had growing up that you've carried on throughout your life?
See these candles right there with the wreath? Mm-hmm. This is Advent. Every year, that's a custom I brought over here with me, where we just had one last Sunday. We had our neighbors come over and celebrate, and we had a little display here with the meaning of Silent Night, Holy Night. And you can't see it, but it's interesting how it came about, you know. So that's, and we enjoy every Sunday. This year it started in November, the first candle, and the second Sunday, the third and the fourth candle just before Christmas Eve. That means the coming of Christ, the Advent time.
And that's something you've done throughout your whole life.
Yeah, and our children look forward to do that because they enjoy that. It's something we think. We have a prayer, and then we have the songs, and then we tell stories like people, the children say something, and it's just a nice family time. Yeah.
It sounds like, Christ has been something that's always been a really huge factor in your life.
Yes, because we joined the church in California, the LDS church in California, in 1971.
And you were married in, what year were you married?
1962.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, 1963.
63.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm impressed you remember. I mean, half the time I have to calculate what year I was married.
Yeah, at the 28th this month is going to be our anniversary.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you said it'd be 64 years?
Huh?
64 years?
From 1963 to now, it's 62 years.
62. Yeah. I'm not a math guy.
You just have to how old we are. Gosh, jeez.
You got lots of stories. I mean, you still feel young to me.
Oh, dear.
Was it difficult changing your faith?
Well, I've been a Lutheran all my life, and even when we lived in California, my husband can tell you the story how we converted, okay? But yeah, it was a little hard for me because being a Lutheran all my life, and even when we got married, we went to a Lutheran church, and the children went to Lutheran school. So, but my husband can tell you how the conversion was, okay?
With the New Year's coming up, right, it's somewhat of a tradition for us to make resolutions. Given just your years of experience and memories and stories, what is your resolution going into 2026?
2026, one thing is, like I say, I've had my history, written down in my computer. I have lacked it for about 20 years. I need to catch up to finish writing that. I have done a lot of genealogy. I've got about 50 genealogy folders in my office. And I need to go to the temple and do more temple work for my families. That is my goal for the coming year.
You've got this. What advice do you have for the listeners? That's something either you've learned in life or something you wish you would have learned in life?
That I learned in life is don't ever give up. And I have faith in the Lord. If you're down and out, you know where to go to. Go down and pray to Him, because He is there. He's going to help you. Anything what you are faced with, you need to go to Him, and you can get help and get.
Thank you, Renata, for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
But with that, I'm Landon, and this is Old Times Talk. Thanks for tuning in to Old Times Talk. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss when wisdom drops. If you or someone you know would like to be interviewed on this podcast, head to oldtimestalk.com and click on the referral tab. And remember, keep the old stories alive. But with that, I'm Landon, and this is Old Times Talk.